Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of the Master None podcast. You're joining us here on a Tuesday evening. I'm here with the usual Sam and Westy, but Sam looking sleek.
Got a haircut. Got my haircut.
Yeah,
no
massive
hat this week.
Yeah, probably the first podcast that I don't know how long that you haven't had a hat on. It's momentous.
I wear a hat most of the time anyway, but it's been extra hatty the last couple of weeks.
Extra hatty.
It's been bad, like.
Westy's still rocking the long locks.
Yeah, but that's a Westy staple. Like Westy's 2 haircuts a year. I'm like 2 a month, really. Like.
Yeah, that's true.
I disagree with the haircut industry. They've got a stranglehold on people. I'm a one-man war against it.
No,
how's that going?
A monopoly. There's plenty of places to go. Like, in Oranmore alone, there's like 4 barbers.
Yeah, there is too many barbers. But
there's like one guy in Ballina who cuts everyone's hair. That's why Westy hates it.
There's so many barbers in Ballina.
Doesn't look like it. Just saying. Evidence is here.
Hey, some of us have jobs, Sam. Some of us are still in work. I can't just take a day off and go get my hair cut.
That is a valid point from Westy. Valid.
I reckon you could have made it to the barber at some point.
I've been super busy in work. I'm kind of I'm a big deal in SAP.
You should smell his house, Sam. Leather-bound books.
I can guarantee you, if I line
Rich mahogany.
Rich mahogany.
If I put you in one of them like witness or those like common like criminal identification lines or whatever, I got half of your workmates. None of them will be able to pick you out of the lineup. Just saying. Just saying.
That's a low blow. I started my job after coronavirus. That's so mean. I've had a tough time of it, Sam.
Some would say that you joining work at that time was the cause of coronavirus. That's all I'm hearing on the streets.
It's allegedly.
I'm hearing on the streets. I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm just saying what I'm hearing.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But, you at the bat. Allegedly. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did live in China, so.
Oh, here we go.
If I ever mentioned that.
No, never. No, not once. What? Yeah, Sam rocking the panda.
Chengdu pandas.
Yeah, I get out for mentioning it. He's the one rocking the merch, Available now, chengdupandas.com.
use code Johnny10 to get 10% off.
That's definitely the website for the National Panda Sanctuary, not the
Yeah, exactly. Or some restaurant somewhere. They're like, "What's all these people coming for looking for jerseys?" Anyway, we're here. We're talking crap. We're here to talk about Super Rugby Aotearoa. It's week 3. We had Blues versus Highlanders Saturday morning. I watched this. It was actually a cracker of a game.
Great game.
It started off as in one side a little bit by halftime, but then the Highlanders had some secret stuff at halftime. Good team talk, and they come back out. And ready to fucking fight. But the star of this game was obviously Caleb Clark. What an absolute beast he is.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Strength, pace, great hair. He's got it all.
Is it Sevens is his background, not league, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he came. It's a conversion there, Sevens.
He came through kind of the Sevens. I heard it, and then watching him, I was like, do they mean league? Like the way he plays is so league-like. He's so direct and
he looks strong. For contact.
He's looking for he's like, if I'm getting past you, I'm leaving a mark on you as well. Like, it's unbelievable. But he's the son. I didn't realize. I only read it just there. He's the son of Ronnie Clark, who played and won the Super 12 with the Auckland Blues in 96 and 97. So it's a bit of a homecoming sort of thing as well, which is great. Like, you love to see that.
Didn't his grandfather pass away on the day of the game or something like that?
Or did he?
I think there was something like that. Yeah, there was a death in the family that morning or whatever, or the day before, and he played the game and had a cracker of the game. So that was nice to see. But on the other side of things, Scott Gregory, the fullback for the Highlanders, not a great day. Tough scene for him. And that's one of those days we just kind of want to substitute me off. I don't want to be here anymore. And he kept trying, the poor lad. He kept going, but it was just error after error, which was really tough.
He got into his own head a bit. Like it's like me on the golf course. It's like it goes bad, it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah,
it wasn't that bad, Sam. It wasn't that bad.
Hey-o.
Priorities.
Nice. Good golf dig, Wesley. Good golf dig.
But no, it was. It did look like he was just getting into his own head a bit. Like it was. Yeah. If things just kept going wrong for him, his timing just seemed to be a little bit off and was misplaced. Kind of, he was not set up in the right position from the start, and then he almost overcompensating, and it was bad.
Yeah, and the Highlanders really targeted him as well. Oh, sorry, the Blues targeted him a lot with some high balls and slippery conditions. But
I think he was really outclassed. Like we've talked a little bit about how we haven't seen like Bowden Barrett, like, become electric at fullback yet. But it's games like that where you really see one fullback dominate another, like from a distance. Bowden Barrett, McKenzie. It was an interesting battle, but there wasn't kind of. I mean, Barrett probably had the better game on the day, but I think that was total Barrett domination.
Yeah,
and I'd say I think he got into his head, and it just.
Yeah, like Barrett. Yeah, it was an amazing contrast. Like Barrett, high balls went up. He was secure underneath them. He came up and he, a nice few grubbers through in the bag, like putting them under pressure and stuff like that. And yeah, like Barrett had, again, quietly, really nice game. Led well and did like just no mistakes really. Like even grubbers off both feet. It's just he's just such a class act.
He's a joy to watch.
He is.
The ability to kick off both feet is absolutely devastating in rugby. Like it's there's very few, even the best out halves. There's very few have that amount of control with both feet. Like there's the odd player that's able to just absolutely leather the ball down the pitch, but to be able to pinpoint grubbers and put them in, it opens up both sides of the pitch so well for you. Like it's an unbelievably good thing to have. And then to be doing that again from full back instead of out half, it giving the defense so much to think about. It gets to him. He can put it left, he can put it right with either foot, or he can run himself. And by the time it's out to a full back in the line, it's going to be wide anyway. So it's really like defending against that has just got to be so head wrecking. Like you feel for teams like the Highlanders, who they came out like they were behind at half time. They came out and they really put it up to them. But I just think that the Blues just outclassed them, like Westy said. You can't compete against that sort of stuff.
Highlanders, though, had a try, disallowed for a knock on and stuff like that. So, like, very easy could have won this game. But credit to the Blues, like, the Highlanders did actually go ahead by, two points. But Blues come right back up the field, even with, Ioane off the field with a yellow card, and score a try. Like they seem quite resilient. They're very like headstrong, the Blues. Because we usually said before, like the Blues of old were not the star team at all, but they seem like they've got leaders all over the pitch. Whether it's like Satutu or, I really like Papalili, the I can't think of the number 7 for the Blues. Really good, like really aggressive, really powerful, like dominant runner. Loves the breakdown. I think he's been actually a bit of a standout so far. Like they've got really good players all over the pitch.
Yeah, I think it's great leadership from Tui Peloto is the captain.
Yeah.
And I think, again, I briefly mentioned it the first week we did this. Ioane in the centre, I mean, again, he had a brilliant game at centre. And I think, I think it's as good that he did, because obviously Caleb Clark now is gaining a lot of traction. I think Sean Wainui is actually playing great rugby. We'll get to that game later on. There's definitely someone moving in for that wing spot, which is where I would have pictured Ioane. So with him now an option at centre, I mean, that really opens things up for selection in the All Blacks.
The beauty of it is, as well, as he's looking like a centre. He's not looking like a wing playing centre. There's a lot of times, like say the George North or Earls has done it in the past. Trimble actually started as a centre, but is a winger. Really, like these people look like wings on the centre. They look like it's kind of playing two wings on the outside. But he's looking for contact. His positioning is brilliant. He's shadowing men very well. I know he got the yellow in the game, but it just looks devastating, and it's like scary to think what the All Blacks are going to be capable of if you put him in the centre and stick another freak.
But this is it. Like this is a selection that, like, you've got McKenzie, Goodhue, in the backs, even Mounga, Barrett, Rico Ioane. Like you have all these players that they have to pick from, and it's just ridiculous depth. And this is even like that's the top tier. Even your man, as you say, Sean Wainui, he's playing great stuff for the Chiefs. Like. They have just an embarrassment of riches down there in those positions.
Yeah, I think you said it really well there, Steve. It kind of shows maturity. I think that's what a lot of people have drawn on. A lot of pundits have said, like, this time last year, Blues wouldn't have held that lead. They would have crumbled when Highlanders got the 2 tries.
Yeah.
And, like, credit where credit's due, it was a brilliant comeback from the Highlanders. And I think, the old cliche of it's a game of 2 halves, I mean, was never truer than in a game like that. But I think it's the maturity of the leadership and the maturity that the squad seem to have now, that we saw glimpses of in the first round of the Super Rugby, whatever you want to call it, pre-COVID. That now is just, I mean, I mean, it's the driving force behind them. Their consistency record, like it has to be. They're doing what has to be done in each game.
They're aware of that as well. Like I was listening to Tuipulotu after the game, and he was being interviewed, and he was talking about just the composure to not get bogged down on the 14 men, or the composure to see it out. Like, you know, they went up. What was it? Halftime was 22-10, so they were up a good bit. You know, they got 5 points in the second half. But Highlanders got 14. Like Highlanders kind of made a tough game of it for them. But they were just composed. The game plan they believed in it. It's worked so far. They back their ability, and it's the composure. And he had said that like it's something that they've really come into their own at. It's just to be composed and just keep the head and just play the way you're playing. Something goes wrong, like you go down to 14 for a bit, just keep going.
Yeah, and like winning becomes a habit. You know, like we always see these in every sport that, you know, if you win a couple of games in a row, you tend to eke out these close games compared to the Highlanders who haven't. So, and you know, they're 3 from 3 now, and they have a bye next week, so they're in a ridiculously good position. The Blues now going ahead. They're definitely, you know, favourites up there with the Crusaders. So.
Yeah, that's going to be a cracking game now.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Getting ahead of ourselves, it's going to look like it's going to be kind of the top two, I'd say. Like you'd love to see others. You'd love to see other teams. Like personally, I'd love to see Canes get back into it, but it's looking
not happening.
It's looking less likely by the day. Like they're two unbelievably well stacked teams. Like every week so far, like Hoskins Satutu has just blown me away. How good that chap is! Like, oh my gosh, what I do to have a player like him coming through the ranks of Ireland. Like
this is the thing. He came out after the game and said that he can play for England. Is it England, Fiji, or New Zealand?
Yeah. So what he's saying there is New Zealand pay me now.
Yeah. And they bloody better. If he ever wears an English jersey, I swear, I like you, Hoskins. I don't want to hate you. Don't make me do it.
You imagine the handover, like Vinopola going,
to Hoskins
relinquishing the 8.
Oh my God.
But he looks like a baller as well. He's like, the pass the other day was just unbelievable. Like his handling, the way he runs, the way he's looking for the offload at all times. He's so young with such potential to grow into it. Like you really hope that he lives up to potential.
He's the perfect mold for an 8. Like he's got size, pace, hands, everything.
And then look at them, like him coming around. He's 21 at the moment, born in 1998. He'll be 26 now in the next World Cup with like potentially 4 years of coming through. Like he's going to be a freak of nature, and then he'll be 30 for the following World Cup. Like hitting his prime then.
In his prime, yeah. And he better
like
be wearing
Sam
a
said,
black
30
jersey.
is the prime. I don't think 30 is the prime, Sam. I think 26 is the prime, really. Like,
just for anyone who wants to know the context of that, Sam is turning 30 2 days time.
Thursday,
2 days time. So send happy birthday wishes to Sam on the 2nd of July on Twitter, and make sure that tell him he's in his prime, because that's what he thinks.
Validate me.
Validate him. But as long as we all agree that if he plays for England, he's dead to us. But we're moving on. But Blues, very good position. Highlanders, I don't know. It's good in stretches, but just can't seem to put it together for 80 minutes, I think.
I was disappointed they didn't. I mean, now, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have the exact timeline here in front of me. I have somewhere to score a timeline in front of me. But, so they missed the first penalty at, 72 minutes. I think they had another penalty then by 74, 76 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know, first off, I really wanted to see golden points. I was annoyed they didn't take it.
True.
But still, with 76 minutes on the clock, take the penalty, score the penalty, and then you're receiving the ball.
Yeah.
It kind of... I mean, they backed themselves, and I love that. And as I say, another season, last season, maybe the season before, Blues wouldn't have held them on the line. But I do think that, they obviously chose wrong because they lost, but I think that they would have had enough time to get back in territory for another great drop goal finish, you know?
Yeah, that Blues holding the maul up, though. That was
because
it looked like
Hoskins, wasn't it? Hoskins,
and then the scrum half hopped in, it was it looked like a little monkey trying to grab onto a gorilla. It was he was hopping up trying to grab the ball.
I messaged you, I know the advantage was being played and the whistle went, but that was the messiest maul. Satutu was holding them up, and then everything just dives in over. And to me, there's definitely someone coming in the side there somewhere, because it was all in, one in, all in sort of thing. But yeah, back to what Westy was saying, Hunt, he misses that penalty, then they don't go for it. And that's actually been a theme now the last 3 weeks. I think there's been some poor decision making in terms of taking penalties or going for things, going for drop goals the odd time, or especially when they're on advantage. I think that there's been a couple of times the last few weeks that I've seen some poor decision making that backfired. Like a few people not taking points when they should have. I know it was Hurricanes didn't take their points in the middle of or they didn't go for the corner in the middle of their yellow card 2 weeks ago, and then it's kind of coming up a little bit, and it's bit them in the ass there because they didn't roll over and score the try, and I think that it biting them in the ass might lead to a few teams to calm down a little bit and start taking the points.
Yeah, possibly.
Really, like if you went for it the first time, why didn't you go for it the second time? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree with Westy though. Like I love when a team goes for it, and especially to pull it off, because it's so ballsy and it's so aggressive. But then you have to live with the other side of that too. So maybe the fact that they're away from home, they're like, we might be able to steal one here. Whereas if we go to extra points, I don't know if they're thinking that way, that away from home it might not work out. Let's take the chance when we have it now. But yeah, I think in that case, when you're getting the ball back, as you say, Westy, take the points.
Yeah, I think I do love when they go for it. I love when we're in a sports ground they go for it because the crowd gets behind it and stuff.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, the captain needs to step up and go, no, fucking put it over and play the game plan,
Yeah.
And I think that kind of a rush of blood to the head happened. Was the England-Wales game in the World Cup in London, like poor decision making to go for the corner and then it not coming off. Like, just you need to just guarantee your points. If you're in a position where it's a 1 in 10 chance of you actually scoring, or a nearly 100% chance of you putting it over to get level, I think take that. It's the odds. Like,
the Highlanders captain's the hooker though, isn't he?
Ash Dixon was captain for the day.
Yeah, hooker, he might, let's back the line out, in fairness. And, they were 80% of the way to the try line before Statutu got hold of them. So, you know what I mean? It was for 80%, it was nearly a great decision. But we'll move on anyway. Blues going forward, looking like, obviously by next week, but looking like they're going to be up there with the Crusaders. But Crusaders played Chiefs on Sunday morning, and all I can say is #Gatland out.
Yeah, he's coming under a bit of pressure.
Trending worldwide.
Our old friend Gatland in the media was out afterwards. He was not happy.
I heard that.
He was giving off about...
New Zealand media do not like him, do they not?
I think New Zealand media just love poking people. Like, it's just whoever's under pressure just gets a poke. Like,
I seen one of the headlines. It was like Gatland snakes his way out of something. It's like you didn't have to use the word snake. That's personal at that stage. You know what I mean? But did you watch this game? I actually didn't get to see this game. I only seen the highlights, but then you get to watch it at 10 o'clock.
Watched it today. I didn't see it live, or I didn't see it at the time, but I managed to get a stream of it today off Reddit and watched it back. And it was cagier than previous games.
I think the weather kind of contributed towards it.
Yeah, the weather was a bit wet now, in fairness, but Crusaders just if they need to, can go through the motions so beautifully. Like, they don't look under pressure even if it's a tight game. They just do what they do so well, like, and then two moments of brilliance with 1 or 2 pretty poor mistakes mixed in. Like, it's just gifted it to them.
But that was the same last week, wasn't it, with the Crusaders? Like, it was 1 or 2 just kind of like, nice plays, a bit of, off the cuff stuff, and they scored 2 tries from it. It was the same again, like, it was just an up and under, but Mackenzie misjudges this.
It's amazing from Super Reese that he beats Damien Mackenzie to the ball. Now I know obviously Mackenzie overshoots it, but it's just brilliant positioning from Super Reese.
And then the great support line from Jordan is amazing.
It's not even like it's a great leap. It's not like he's beating him in the air.
He's on the ground. He doesn't jump.
Super Reese in the right position, and Mackenzie just jumped past it. I don't know. Like, I thought Mackenzie was very good. I was reading a few bits just preparing for the show, and like people were talking about him being in the team of the week from the week and stuff, being the chief standout player. And I did think he was very good, but I just thought that was absolutely horrific. And like, that's really inexcusable to be beaten. If you're going to come for that, if it's in a crowd of players there and the fullback is charging onto it, the fullback commands it and wins it. That has to happen. Like, you can't come out of position that way, come up for it when there's already a crowd of players there. Like, Seven Reese catches it and you're in a position as a fullback, you tackle him, it's fine. But he comes up to it and tries to catch it, and then leaves the entire backfield for Reese.
On the replay of it, there's a great moment where you can see Mackenzie, like, he misses and he turns around and you can just see the open space for Super Reese to go. He just kind of goes, oh shit. But Will Jordan, like, he really had a standout game as well. He looks like an amazing player too, but his support line for that was amazing. Like, Reese drew in. I think he drew in Wainui and just popped the pass, and it was a lovely finish. But even the second try again, it's just quick thinking from the Crusaders with the line out. Take it quickly. The Chiefs are kind of sleeping. Great pace by Jordan again, but just 2 tries there that the Chiefs could have easily stopped. And they're still had a shot to win the game. Later on. But you take those 2 tries out of it, you're massively in that game. You're possibly beating the Crusaders. Like, a small mistake like that the Chiefs are making, whereas the Crusaders and, like I said, the Blues aren't.
Yeah. I mean, I actually watched it. Well, not live, but I watched the 10 a.m. repeat on Sky, so the live for Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
But I was surprised. I think the weather kind of went in a favor of Crusaders. I think they kind of just showed their class a bit. I think like you can see there was a lot more handling errors in this game. It was kind of more of a like Northern Hemisphere style game, a game that we see in the sports ground on a January night. But yeah, I think the extra bit in it was the extra skill and coordination of the Crusaders.
Yeah. Well, like the quick thinking for the try for the quick line out. I was watching that.
Yeah, that was very clever.
But you see quick line outs all the time. You don't see that quick line out. He was running a line. He wasn't running to get in position and it was passed to him and there was a loop around the way it kind of usually happens, or a big pass. He ran that line and he was hit flat, and he was hit at exactly 5 yards. I don't think it was pre-planned. I think that's just pure instinct. He saw it and he didn't even think twice about it. He was running it. And for all you know, like, he ran that line and Reese doesn't pass it to him and they get a line out and they go down the pitch and they score anyway. The fact he ran the line, he didn't give Reese any other option. He just he's running it and Reese went, oh, he's there, and he gave it to him. It was unbelievably instinctive play. It was brilliant. It's not something you see very often, but it's something I think you see replicated a little bit. Like, people are going to try and start doing those quick lineouts, because lineouts, we saw in the Crusaders-Canes game the last day, like, they're not as safe as they have been in the past. I think that they're a bit more open, a bit sloppy, especially like coming off the back of big 3 months forced absences and stuff. So quick lineouts, getting the ball back in play and just getting in possession.
Fairness, though, this law where you have to be a meter apart, no one obeys that.
No, never.
They're like, by the time the ball is thrown in, they're practically touching shoulders.
But the odd time you get a real stickler ref that's like spends 20 minutes separating them, and then they're jumping and they're over each other anyway. Like, you're a jumper, Westy, so you know better than we do. Like, but I've never seen a jumper being not contested by someone who was like leaning on them. Like,
yeah, but it's a jumper and a lifter. You're kind of unofficially taught to lift that way.
Yeah,
not straight up. You lift into the middle of the line out. Like, you're not meant to step in, but you do, like, because you replant your feet when you lift, and same when you jump. I was always told to plant my 2 feet together and go up. So you jump a little bit closer to the line, kind of thing. There's all little things that you do to edge closer and kind of get the advantage.
Next Super Rugby, it's going to be the new law. Is going to be we're going to start officiating the line out instead of the breakdown. That's going to be next year.
It's like there's an old soccer analogy. It's like you fix one thing and something else comes up. It's like it's like if your foot's sticking out the bottom of the duvet and it's too cold, so you like move it down and then your shoulder gets on her, so that's too cold to pull it up to his arm. It's like that. Like, it's just there's not enough duvet, so it's like
you need to buy a bigger duvet, Sam.
We finally cracked the breakdown. It's like scrums just go to shit. We finally cracked the scrum. All over the place. Like,
it is. It's frustrating though, because it's like that's where all these sloppiness coming from the lineout is. It's because there's just no law being kept. But penalty count, maybe I'm just getting more used to it, but it doesn't seem to be as in a big an issue anymore.
No, so I think it was 16 in the Crusaders game and around the same in the other game. So I mean, that's a big drop from what did we have in
22, 2 weeks 26 ago. Last week.
The first game first week
30,
wasn't it? High 20
and 30. 61 overall. Yeah, so that's huge.
So I think that's. I mean, I think that's a combination of referees playing a bit more advantage and players getting more used to the new rules.
Yeah,
that's good though. Yeah.
But like Gatland, the Goodhue one, like, I've watched it back twice, 3 times. Gatland has nothing to complain about there. Like, Goodhue might have ever so slightly infringed, but he's just lying there. Like, he's not really doing anything. They get the ball back and it was silly anyway. Like, so I think he was just looking to deflect more than anything with that complaint.
Yeah. That's, he's going to complain about something at the end of the day. But Crusaders, again, this is the thing. Crusaders are 2 wins out of 2, but I'd say they've been in third gear maybe once, and then the rest has all been fairly autopilot. I again, they're only going to get better. So I think going forward, the Chiefs are in serious trouble. That's 0 from 3. Joe Schmidt has to be Lions coach, has to be called at some stage. The announcement has to be soon, or else it's just disrespectful at this stage. But Crusaders going forward, I think, are they still favourites ahead of the Blues?
I'd say they're still favourites, yeah, because they look like you were just saying, like they're in second gear at the moment. They haven't looked like they've been tested. I think what'll happen is when they play the Blues, is Crusaders are so good, so confident. Decision making is brilliant. They're stacked across the board, and the Blues have to have a very good game to beat them. I think Crusaders just have to play their game to beat the Blues. If you get me, I think they're still slightly better than the Blues. But I think on the Blues day, if it's going well, they can beat them.
Yeah,
it's the way I'd put it.
Yeah, I was actually chatting to my brother about this during a week, and he was kind of saying if Blues can control their penalty count, they might be able to edge Crusaders. I think it's a good point. I mean, we still see. I think Blues gave away the most penalties this weekend. So I think it's a bit of maybe a Joe Schmidt attitude of controlling the controllables for Blues.
Especially with someone like Mounga there, like you just don't want to be giving him the opportunity to kick, because he's like, I feel kind of sorry for him because I think he's such a talented out half, but I just don't think he's ever going to really get the plaudits, because I don't think he's really a New Zealand out half. Like I think if he was a Northern Hemisphere out half, he would be stunning because he would control the game really well and he kicks very well. He's tactical and obviously he's a great player, but I just think like he's a Taro Black, a Bowden Barrett coming through, and there's probably about 10 other 18-year-olds coming through. There's so many in the league. Like I just don't think he's ever going to get as many caps as he would if he was Northern Hemisphere out half.
No.
Even though
I think some of that Northern. I mean, there's obviously a huge Ron O'Gara influence there. Like O'Gara was there, was his kicking coach, or was he? What was he? Was he backs coach or kicking coach, or what was he?
Backs coach.
Backs coach. He was kicking coach in Racing for a while before he became backs coach there.
So I mean, and I think if I remember correctly, I remember him being on off the ball and talking about how he had to work with kicking on Richie. I'd say that's where we're drawing that conclusion of he has a kind of Northern Hemisphere style, because a lot of it's taught from the goat from O'Gara.
Yeah, well, like look at Barrett at the start. Like Barrett is not. You wouldn't teach Barrett's kicking style. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It's a tad awkward.
Well, he learned that at Longier, didn't he?
Yeah, at Longier, exactly. He did. Yeah, but he's become now quite good with the kicking boot. But at the start, it was all about his explosiveness and with ball in hand. Like in Mounga, he's not exciting with ball in hand, but compared to Barrett's, or it's a bit less. But definitely controls the game well. Like he's always looking to try stuff where it'll be a little kick over the top, a little grubber. He must be a nightmare to defend against. And I'm a big fan of this move that before he kicks it.
They got
big fan of that. That's what I'm like on a dance floor. I'm just pure just that for like 3 hours. But big fan. Yeah, I think I don't know what to think about Mounga. I'm kind of on the fence. Like I know he's good, but I don't know. I just think
he's so exciting. He's such a great playmaker. I think, Barrett wants to be at half, but I think, okay, look, they didn't win the World Cup, but I think it's a great system having that dual playmaker, fullback and 10, because Barrett is so instinctual, because he's so exciting coming onto the ball.
Yeah.
Like I just think it's brilliant having him a fullback. I think Mounga as well, ball in hand, is really exciting. I just don't know what they're going to do when Mackenzie comes back. Well, Mackenzie is back. I don't know what's going to happen to Mackenzie.
Well, Mackenzie at the moment now on form would be struggling to make the team probably. Do you know what I mean?
I think you have to remember, like Chiefs have only scored 3 tries in this tournament. 2 tries before that game, I think.
Yeah, 3 in total now.
3 in total. Yeah. So, and I think you mentioned it last week, Steve, about whether they're relying too much on Mackenzie, and I just think, I'm surprised, because I was expecting Aaron Cruden to kind of step up, and he's not been bad, but he's not been great either. No. So I'm waiting for him to
the best number 10 in the world. It's not been great.
Yeah. I don't know if Aaron Cruden's the best number 10 in the world, but maybe he probably was a few years ago.
That was a callback, Westy, to a previous episode where someone tweeted it. God. Do you even listen on this podcast?
I'm trying to get the stats here on Mounga. Like I don't know his exact starting stats for New Zealand. I think they're pretty low, but he's 17 appearances for New Zealand, and I want to hazard a guess that like he's less than half of them are starting.
I think he only really broke onto the squad last year, so it's there. That's 6 of those are World Cup, and then 3 before that are the Rugby Championship. So
yeah, he's definitely a better kicker than Barrett is. So like having him at 10 is I think 10, and then Barrett at 15 is probably your optimal. But then if you want to include other boys in the back line, then like if you're going to pick someone on the team and it has to be one of them, you're picking Barrett. Like there's no doubt about it. Like if you're going to
it comes down to how you want to play the game as well, because well, I don't know if we were saying it, I might have said it earlier. If you're going to put Aotearoa at centre, and then let's say you're going to have Severese on one wing and Caleb Clark on the other, you can have Bowden Barrett coming in from fullback, kind of having that second centre role or having that 12 role and pushing somebody else out. You can really mix up the way that your backline communicates and plays with somebody like Barrett coming on from full back.
You're almost not playing with positions there, like though. Yeah. You're almost got Mounga,
Seven's backline.
Like you Mounga, Clark.
That's scary backline,
Barrett,
by the way. Holy Christ.
Unbelievable. But like any of them, like Mackenzie comes in, any of them can play 10, 14, 11, 15. Your centers can both be wingers. Like then you got like Coles playing hooker but running faster than any of them. Like they're absolute freaks. Like coming into an international scene, you'd almost be as well to not give them jersey numbers because they're just not going to be playing in positions. The only time they will be is when you're lining out to start the game, like
the national anthem.
Yeah.
Yes, it's sick. And even your man Leonard Brown, who used to, he's a good couple of caps now, and I don't think he's going to be near it at this stage. Do you know what I mean? It's just insane. But yeah, going forward, I think Crusaders obviously still top dog, I think, at the moment, but Chiefs in serious trouble. But yeah, it's all Gatland's fault. That's all I'll say.
Well, look, I mean, you have to remember that the Chiefs beat the Crusaders before COVID lockdown, so it's not all doom and gloom. I do think that obviously Gatland's bringing in a new system. It's probably a bit too reminiscent of the old Wales system to really fly down in the Southern Hemisphere. But it's going to take time. Like, had they had a proper season, because I think they're probably suffering the most from the loss in momentum.
Yeah,
like they were trying to learn a new system and then had to break for 3 months.
Yeah, trying to implement something and then it to just be completely stopped is just going to be so difficult. Like you can see it with a lot of things. You can see it with even transfers and players moving between clubs. Like there's so much up in the air right now. No one knows. Like, I was listening to an interview with Pat Lam earlier and he was talking about Kyle Sinclair like coming into the Bristol setup. Like he's coming in mid-season playing for a team in the league against another team he's playing for. Like everything is so up in the air. Like if Gatland had a plan whereby his system would be in place at the end of one season or like a season and a half, that's been completely derailed now, and he's fighting from behind already with that. So like,
yeah,
it'll be tough. Like, be interesting kind of few months, especially with the Lions coming up and him taking that extended break. I wonder, like, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, it's just a strange situation, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on, how they finish the league. But that's it, lads. Good chatting to you as always. Thanks for joining me. Follow me on Twitter at @none_podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube is all Master of None.
Super Rugby Australia starts this weekend too.
Oh yeah, Westy's on this.
You're a Western Force fan.
What bandwagon are you on?
Brums. On the Brums.
On the Brums.
Yeah,
now we have, instead of one game on Saturday, we have two, don't we?
Yes, we have a game on Friday morning, 2 games on Saturday, and a game on Sunday.
What times are these Australia games? Like Australian time zone?
The Saturday one's good. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning.
They're both 10 o'clock, I think.
Okay.
Or Friday as well, yeah. And then Sunday's Sunday's just Aotearoa.
Sunday's just Aotearoa, yeah.
So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, this is game changing stuff now.
This is all the girlfriends of the world will be like, oh damn it, it's over. This last 3 months is over.
Saturday is 8 a.m. to midday of rugby now. If there's an 8 and a 10 game, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, happy days.
I think the New Zealand games are earlier. I think it might be 7:30. I'm not sure.
Have they gone back? Have they changed their time? Have they? Because they're
might have.
I don't think so, West.
That might have been coverage. Sorry, that might have been.
Yeah, I think the kickoffs are 8 and 10.
They've been 8 so far. Yeah.
8 and 10 o'clock.
8 and half 4 for the real fans, Steve.
Yeah.
Sure. Like 4:30 was fun the first day, Westy, but I'd watch it at 10.
Yeah, when it's repeated at 10, it's just like, what's the point?
Yeah, if the only time you could see it was 4:30, fair enough. But if it's on at 10,
I've been watching the 10 a.m.s live, which I like doing. I've been not checking Twitter or anything. I'm watching it as if live, which is great. And it's so long. I used to do that with a match of the day when I was a kid. I wouldn't look at teletext. I wouldn't listen to anyone, and I'd be like, Liverpool scores, and then watch it.
Teletext. What ancient artifact is teletext?
Teletext. For those of us who are nearly 30, teletext is how we got all our sports updates.
Yeah, exactly. It was great. There's probably a lot of people listening to this that have no idea what that is, I think.
Yeah, but I wouldn't know. I'm too young. And
Sure.
Teletext is about to get to Ballina now this year.
But promised it for a long time.
Yeah, West had to wait till the paper on Monday morning to find out all the weekend results.
Hey, I started tweeting.
Yeah, a Tier 2 rugby update, Westy. Give us a Tier 2 rugby update. Before we go.
Massive Tier 2 rugby update. Georgia not being invited into this 8 Nations.
Yeah, well, I don't know how true this is. I saw a couple of people share it today.
There's a lot of people have been sharing it. Like, it was all over off the ball earlier as well. Like, it's definitely it's too much rumors going around for it to not be for not be in discussion. Like, it's that it's more than just people like myself on Twitter saying, "Oh, this might be a potential goer." It's definitely in a discussion of sorts.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel horrible for Georgia because they've been they've been banging on about getting into it for ages, and they've just been overlooked. I mean, it'd be a lot simpler to do a competition and include Georgia, Romania. Like, why not?
Pack Italy in, send them off. Fiji and Georgia.
Send them off to where exactly?
But again, like, if you're going to do this with Japan and Fiji, like, I imagine they're going to have to set up camp somewhere. You know, like, are we going to be traveling to Japan and Fiji for games?
I wouldn't mind like a World Cup style in place, because if no one's doing live games, like, if you're not able to go, what's to stop you just going and playing in a fucking Corinthians Park, like, you know, like, if there's no crowd, like, go to any good pitch, like,
your
you know,
future club.
But what I'm like, my point more is, like, if there's no crowd, why do you have to be in a stadium? Could you not set up camp somewhere like down by the airport in Dublin, where they have 10 pitches and like lock it down for a couple of weeks and have all
what the NBA is doing with Orlando with the bubble.
Yeah,
obviously to a much lesser scale, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, like, you can control the environment completely.
Yeah, because you're not landing in from Fiji, 2 weeks quarantine, playing a game, going somewhere else. Like, 100%. There's no way. Like, it's a logistical nightmare. Like, and I don't see the world being as open as people think by November.
What if they nominate a player to play on Rugby 20 on the PlayStation?
Oh.
So you represent your country by playing as your country.
So, like, Ireland would have to select one player, probably Larmour, because he's like the youngest.
It's definitely, I think, Dennis Buckley. I know he's not in the Irish squad, but apparently he's an absolute whiz on PlayStation. He was like playing in all these FIFA tournaments during lockdown, representing Connacht and stuff. So,
but see, that's the thing, they missed a trick there. If we had a properly licensed rugby PlayStation game, there could have been like a virtual Six Nations over Twitter or whatever. You know, that would have been hilarious.
Twitch streaming, like I would have tuned in. Do you know what I mean?
Munster invested in some esports team as well, though, didn't they?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they had a big announcement. They invested in an esports team. It's definitely the way forward in terms of, like, viewership wise. It's
massive. Twitch gets massive.
Crazy.
We're going off topic. But thanks, lads. Give Sam a tweet on Thursday the 2nd. Give him a happy birthday. Westies is until March, so you have to wait. But Westies also Westies turn 25 next year.
Woo!
Still a young gun.
We're a century. Look at his beard for 25-year-old, huh?
That's impressive. All right, boys. Cheers. Have a good one. Chat to us next week.
See you later.
Thanks.